Thanksgiving is almost here. People are going to be coming in, families coming in. We're going to have a good Thanksgiving this year in America. So let's all enjoy everybody that happens to come in. And even in our town, the ones that live alone, the church has a big free Thanksgiving meal that you can go and eat with other people that are alone. And so that's a good thing. America's wonderful, isn't it? Isn't it? The people in America are wonderful. So today we're going to get ready to make our egg bread to go in our dressing. And y'all, I hate to brag, but my dressing is so good. I mean, I love it cold, I love it hot, I love it, period. And anyway, in the cookbook, I decided I'd tell you what page I'm cooking on today. It's 117. It's this one. And you see how when we took a picture of my cornbread, how I crumbled it up. That's because when you make your dressing, you've got to crumble up that cornbread. So I measured a few things out. And what you're going to need is this. I use White Lily self-rising cornmeal. Now, the cornmeal you use does make a difference. You can't make egg bread with every kind of cornmeal, but you do need self-rising. If you can't get White Lily, I'm sorry, but this is what I'm using. Okay, I've got my oven set on 400, and I'm going to use the self-rising. I use the self-rising buttermilk cornbread. It's got a scarecrow on the front. This is the one I use. So I've got 2 cups of that. Put it in. Then you've got to have, as the recipe says, we've got to have 2 cups of buttermilk. Now, you know, if I was cooking by myself today and y'all weren't with me, I wouldn't be measuring this. But I'm measuring it for you. All right, so anyway, we got to have 2 cups of this. So let me pour that in real quick. Notice I shook my buttermilk because if you don't, it will be watery. I don't know why it is with a jug of water, of buttermilk, but the top part's kind of watery and the bottom part's thick. So that's why I always turn it upside down and let it mix good. All right, I've got 2 cups. Let me make sure I got 2 cups of buttermilk. Here we go. We'll pour that in. It's so easy. And I'm going to stir it up. And you know, actually, my kids come in here in Thanksgiving when I'm making this and they pinch off of it. They just pinch and pinch. All right, I'm going to get me another little bowl so we can crack these eggs up. What I got right here, we'll do this one right here. That'll be good. And I'm going to get me a fork to beat them up in. Okay. It's going to take 5 eggs. That's why we call it egg bread. And y'all, we're going to cook it on that 400-degree oven, which will be slow. And you do not want this brown. You want it soft and tender. And so don't leave it in there too long, even if it's kind of a little bit on the gummy side in the middle. It's better than having too hard a bread, okay? All right, so I've got 5 eggs. Beat that up. But I love my cornbread. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make the actual bread, and I'm going to cover it with a cloth, and then tomorrow we'll make the rest of it. And I'm making it before Thanksgiving so that y'all can know how to do your dressing, okay? All right, got that stirred around good. I put our eggs in there. Can y'all see? I think you can. Okay, I'm going to grease my skillet. If it sticks in your skillet, no problem, because you're going to be tearing it all up anyway. We're going to tear it up. You want to get your eggs mixed in real good, okay? Make sure you do like this so that the air bubbles get in it. Like that. I had an arm of my couch that got torn up. So I called a man in town and he fixed it and did a great job. And I'm thankful because I was worried about my couch. It had an arm, a wooden arm on the couch, and that's the part that's messed up. All right, so I'm gonna grease my skillet. I'm gonna use a little solid right here. I'm gonna go on up with it because it's probably gonna rise high, so I'm gonna kind of come up with my grease a little bit to the top. I don't heat my grease when I'm cooking egg bread, and the reason I don't is I want my crust to be soft. You know, I told you I didn't want it to be hard, and so that's why I'm doing it this way. All right, so now I'm gonna pour my batter into my skillet, and it's gonna cook approximately 25 to 30 minutes. All right, here we go. This is a 10-inch skillet. Now that makes a difference. If you've got an 8-inch skillet, your cornbread's gonna be come up too far. So you need at least a 10-inch skillet. Okay, I'm gonna put it in. It's 400 degrees. I'm gonna put it on the middle shaft, kind of right here. I don't want to put it too close to the bottom or top. That'll be good. And it's cooking. All right, it is right now. What time is it? 20 minutes till 12. No, it's not. The time changed. It's 20 minutes till 11. I hadn't moved my clock back. I said, I wish that America would decide which time they wanted to use and just stick with it instead of changing it. My body it doesn't adjust as easy as it used to. Okay, let me tell y'all this. Got me a pet peeve today. I want to share it with you. My stove, only 3 eyes are working. So I called the stove people yesterday, and I think it doesn't matter which brand of stove that you want to get. I think every one of them are like this now. When you turn your skillet on, let's say you're deep frying some okra, okay? Some good old southern okra. Well, when you turn your skillet on, if the oil, let's say you're frying your okra, it's just frying up real good, everything's great, and all of a sudden your stove decides, because it's got a sensor, that grease is just too hot. So it turns it down, or really completely off, till your grease cools off, then it'll come back on by itself. Well, here's what happens. If you're a cook, you know this. Let's say you are frying okra and everything's going great. The family can't wait. And all of a sudden your grease decides it's too hot. So turns it off, and what happens? Your okra starts absorbing the grease that is in the skillet because it's not hot enough. It just kind of sits there and floats around. And then your stove decides, well, I guess I'll turn it back on now. So the stove turns back on and finishes cooking your okra. But the result is that okra or chicken or squash or zucchini or mushrooms, whatever you happen to be frying, absorbs the grease. Therefore, it's greasier. Therefore, it's not as healthy. The reason I like to, and it gets soggy with all that grease. The reason I deep fat fry is because it is healthier. Because when you put your items in it, it fries up, you drain it, take it out, and it's nice and crispy, and you've about got the same amount of grease in your skillet as you started with. When you deep fat fry it, I have a deep skillet. Well, it's that one right there. Y'all see that deep one right there? I think that's about 4 or 5 inches deep. Well, anyway, so I'm just going to have to get me a repairman. I've got one. I just hadn't called him yet. To fix my stove again so that I have 4 eyes, because I don't want one of the new stoves if it's going to turn off and on when I don't want it to. So that's my peeve for today. And I know that it probably never will be the same. I mean, my washing machine doesn't fill up with water. My stove turns itself on and off. I think I'm just old-timey. I like the stove that I can control, and I like to control the amount of water that goes in my washing machine. Do y'all? Or am I just talking to a generation that doesn't even know that the good washers and the good stoves are a thing of the past? I just don't know. Well, they say, well, it'll save electricity if you use our stove. Well, it really doesn't, because you whatever you got in the skillet has to sit there 5 minutes longer than it would have had to sit there if I'd have been using my old stove. So, if you are a designer of stoves and washers, machines, and refrigerators, you need to talk to some men and women that actually cook before you design it. And another thing, y'all, I know I'm on a rampage today, but here's something else I like, and you automobile makers out there, and you people that design cars and trucks, do you remember that little side mirror that was on the sides of trucks and cars? It was the shape of a triangle. It had a little latch down there, and you could open that little tiny window open and turn it, and that air would blow right on you. It felt so good. They don't make those anymore. I want to get me an old truck or an old car that has that little bitty triangle mirror by my seat, so I can turn it and I can feel the air. That was a good thing. And you young folks out there that never had a car or truck like that, you don't know what you're missing. It was wonderful. All right, I'm going to turn this off, and you just go get you some white lily cornmeal and be ready to make some great dressing with this good egg bread that I'm going to take off. Love y'all. I'll see you in a little bit. While I'm sitting here waiting on my cornbread to get ready, I'm going to have me a little cup of coffee. This is leftover, and I just put it in the microwave. It's leftover from this morning, and my cup feels so warm and good. It feels good. Do y'all like to hold your hand around your cup like this? I do. This is Priester's. This is the pecan roast coffee. It's really good, and I love it. And then I'm going to have some of this. You know, I told you I don't know how to make divinity. I got to learn how. So I'm going to just eat some of their divinity. It's good, and I'm sure it'll be better than what I make. It's hand-dipped divinity candy. This will make a nice gift for Christmas. But anyway, it's wrapped in little individual packages so it can stay fresh and crisp like it's supposed to. So, I'm going to have me a piece of divinity and a cup of coffee. They put plenty of pecans in it. Look at that. That's so good. And when that cornbread comes out, I'm not going to need all of it for my dressing. So I'm going to have me some milk and bread. I guess this is my lunch. Coffee, divinity, and cornbread. Oh. Wait a minute. This cup came from Jerry Brown Pottery up in North Alabama. Anyway, I meant to say it wasn't little side mirrors. It's a triangle window. It's a window that's right there in your car. It's right up at the front of the big window. And you did a latch and you turned it like that and it blew air on you. My daddy used to turn it backwards so that when we were little, if we were going somewhere and he was smoking, he'd blow it, put his cigarette out that thing and let the smoke pull it out. I mean, let the wind pull it out. Oh, glory. All right, y'all, I've got the cornbread out. And here it is. And yes, it's stuck. What I did is I ran my spatula around it. But it's not going to make any difference. And so what you need to do is take it out in a bowl. See how soft that is? Remember what I told y'all about all ovens being different? Well, I cooked this. It says 25 to 30 minutes. And I left it in just a scoop longer. Because I might not have measured right or whatever the case may be. All right, there we go. Now all this part that's stuck on here, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to just eat it plain. I don't want it in my dressing, okay? I'm going to put it over here. Yours probably won't stick. I'm bad about using my cornbread skillet for everything else in the world, okay? So what you want to do is, see how it's kind of gummy on the inside? It's real soft. It looks kind of like it needs to cook a little longer. Well, it doesn't. What you want to do is cool it off, and then you're going to crumble this up to really, really small. And you can do this the day before. And put it in a Ziploc bag so that after it cools, so that it won't get dried out. I'm just doing this a little bit so it can cool off some. And if I found any pieces hard on the top, I'm not going to put that in there either. But this looks good. Okay, so here's what you need to remember, even when you're following the recipe. It's something I always tell y'all. All ovens are different. So, when it says to cook it 25 minutes, you may have to cook it 35 or 40. I don't know. I just know my oven. I don't know yours. And I also know this. Those convection ovens, they do not cook like a traditional oven. So that makes a difference. But this is kind of the consistency that you need. So what I'm going to do is I've got me a glass out. And I'm going to take me some of this and I'm going to crumble it in my glass. Like this. Woo! Hot. There's a good piece right there. Let me get it up. Get me a little lunch here. Okay. Now I'm going to get out this. Let me get it out. Y'all just stick with me. Get me a spoon. Shake up my buttermilk. I'm going to pour it over my egg bread. I'm going to stir it around. And I'm going to eat it. That is so good. Now you can put sweet milk over it, or you can put buttermilk. I eat it both ways. But I love this. Absolutely delicious. So I'm going to let this cool off. I'm going to put it in a baggie. And you can make it a long time ahead of time if you want to and freeze it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cool it, and put it in a baggie. I'm going to crumble it up real fine before I actually make my dressing. And then I'll do another video on how to make dressing.